The winter air was crisp in Jersey City, 1863, as passengers crowded the train station, waiting for their departures. Among them stood Robert Todd Lincoln, the eldest son of President Abraham Lincoln. At 20 years old, he was used to the constant attention that came with being the son of the most powerful man in America. Lost in thought, Robert adjusted his coat and stepped closer to the platform's edge. The train was already boarding, passengers climbing into their seats. As he reached for the railing, the crowd behind him shifted. A small push, perhaps unintentional, sent him off balance. Before he could react, his foot slipped on the icy wood, and he fell backward, right into the gap between the train and the platform. The engine was still in motion. One more second, and he would be crushed. Just as the world seemed to slow down, a strong hand gripped his coat collar. In a single swift motion, he was yanked upward, away from the deadly tracks. Staggering back onto the platform, Robert gasped, his heart pounding. "Are you all right?" a deep voice asked. Robert looked up and saw his rescuer, a tall, well-dressed man with piercing eyes and dark hair streaked with gray. His face was familiar. Robert knew this man. You're Edwin Booth," he stammered. Indeed, Edwin Booth was one of the most famous stage actors in America at the time, renowned for his Shakespearean performances. Though taken aback by Robert's recognition, Booth simply nodded. "It was nothing," he said humbly, brushing off the moment. The train continued to rumble past them, and with it, the realization of what had just happened settled in. A second later, and Robert Lincoln would have been dead. Robert thanked Edwin Booth profusely before parting ways. He thought little of it at the time, a fortunate encounter, a lucky rescue. But neither man knew just how twisted their destinies were about to become. 2 years later, in April 1865, America was changed forever. John Wilkes Booth, the younger brother of Edwin Booth, assassinated President Abraham Lincoln at Ford's Theater. Yes, the man who saved Lincoln's son was the brother of the man who killed Lincoln himself. When Edwin Booth learned of his brother's crime, he was devastated. A proud patriot and supporter of President Lincoln, he never forgave John Wilkes Booth for his actions. Haunted by the tragedy, he withdrew from the public eye for a time, heartbroken that his own blood had committed such a terrible act. However, when Edwin later learned that he had unknowingly saved the president's son, he found a glimmer of solace. Though he could not undo his brother's crime, his actions had, in some way, repaid a debt. Robert Lincoln would go on to live a long life, serving as Secretary of War and U.S. Ambassador to the United Kingdom. But he never forgot the man who had saved him that day at the train station.